If you've been trying to wear your hair naturally curly and you feel like you're doing everything right, but you're still not getting the results that you want, you're not failing. You probably are just suffering from existing damage or curl memory loss, which is really common if you're new to wearing your curls. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what to stop and start doing to finally see progress in your curls. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Gina, and here we talk all things naturally curly. I like keeping things very simple. I'm also a curl coach who helps my clients get their curls back. And this video is part of my beginner curls series where I help you focus on what actually matters so you can stop feeling stuck and finally see progress with your curls. In the previous video in this beginner curls series, we covered a basic wash day routine, which shares the essentials that you need to wash and style your curls. This video is going to focus on the bonus add-on products, which are still essentials if you have damage or if your curls just are not quite used to being curly yet. I'm still keeping this very simple. I'm including drugstore products, and I'm only including what you actually need to make a difference. The first thing we are going to stop doing to finally see progress with our curls is we're going to stop going back and forth from wearing our hair straight and wearing it curly, and finally start wearing it curly consistently. Curl progress takes time, and every time you go back and forth, you take a few steps backward. If you truly want to see progress, you really have to be consistent with your curls. Now, this applies whether if you have damage in your hair, such as heat damage from straightening all the time, or if you maybe just didn't really embrace your curls, maybe you wore them pulled back all the time and they've really lost that curl memory. They're not used to being styled curly. The more that you style your curly hair, it will get used to being curly. Even though curl memory isn't quite scientifically proven, it is a thing, and it's something that I have seen a ton in my new curl coaching clients. Some of my new clients have come to me and they just decided to start embracing their curls after years or maybe a whole lifetime of wearing it pulled back, or maybe they've been straightening it all the time, and it's not going to look good on your first wash day. You have to keep that consistent, and the more you do it and the more you get your reps in, you'll not only learn what your hair likes and how it responds to different techniques and products, but it will also start to build up some of that curl memory. If you go back to pulling it back really tight in a ponytail or flat ironing it, it's going to lose some of that curl memory. You can definitely still get that back. It might just take a little bit longer because you're delaying your progress. However, I'm all about doing what works for you, and I never want to tell someone that they have to do something that doesn't fit in with your lifestyle, but that's why I focus on a really easy to follow routine. And I'll show you ways in just a little bit on how you can get through that awkward stage so that way you can kind of hide things without actually ruining your curl pattern. So stay tuned for that towards the end of the video. You don't have to completely give up your ponytail yet, but I do think you should lay off the heat if you are using heat tools at the moment. You have to trust the process. This is where most people want to quit. I just wanted to show you what my hair looked like back when I was still straightening it, and I was flip-flopping between wearing it straight and wearing it curly. I used to love experimenting with straight styles. I would use curling irons and all the different tools, but I never really liked how my hair looked when it was curly, and that's because it was heat damage. It didn't have that curl memory. That is that damage cycle that I teach my clients, and I help them figure out how to break that, and that's what I'm here to do as well, is help you break out of that cycle. You have to change something or else that cycle is just going to continue. The next thing we're gonna stop doing is holding on to damaged ends and prolonging our haircuts, and start trimming regularly as the damage starts to grow out. This also applies if you don't have damage and you've just lost your curl memory. You would be surprised what a trim can do for your curls. But the longer you delay that trim, the longer it's going to take to get your curls back. You have to actually grow out old damage. So if you have heat damage, maybe you were highlighting, if you have that chemical damage in your hair, that's what I had. I had highlights in my hair. I took so long to grow out those highlights, and it was such a long process to where my hair was much harder to manage. So if you're already feeling like curls are a lot of work and you don't know if you can stick with it, you're making it harder by hanging on to that damage, because the damaged areas, they don't hold on to moisture as long, so they're going to get very dry. They get very frizzy, tangly. You're going to want to refresh a lot because they don't last as long. It's just a pain, so it's better to get that cut off as soon as possible. Once I finally got that last bit of damage cut off and I finally grew out my highlights, my hair was so much easier to manage. You would be shocked. Like, I was able to actually skip refreshing days and my curls lasted much longer. The other thing you have to keep in mind is that split ends will travel further up the hair shaft if they're not cut off. So if you see split ends in your hair, from that heat styling, get a good trim, and then don't ruin it again by straightening it. Keep those ends healthy, and I'll talk about more ways to do that too. By the way, I put all of this together in a free downloadable checklist that you can download through the link below. The next thing we're going to stop doing to protect our hair and prevent future breakage is stop shampooing matted, tangled hair. If you go right in with your shampoo on hair that is very tangled, it's only going to make things worse. Instead, you'll want to remove the tangles first if possible. Now, there's two different ways that you can do this, and I talked about this in my recent video in this series, but you can either just use whatever conditioner that you have, doesn't matter which one, wet your hair down that's dirty, put conditioner on it, and gradually work through the tangles. Then rinse it out and move on to your shampoo and conditioner. This at least gets rid of those tangles, so that way you can effectively cleanse your scalp and you're not making the mats worse. This is really helpful too if your hair is damaged, because damaged hair is much more tangly. Another option, which includes added protection for damaged hair, is using a pre-shampoo oil. This is done on dry hair, and this is better for people's hair that is wavy or maybe loose curls. If you have very tight, coily hair, you'll want to do the wet conditioner method, but you can use any oil that you have. The one I wanted to show you as an example of a good drugstore oil is the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk Strengthening Oil. This is a great one. You just put it all over your ends when your hair is dry and before you're going to wash your hair. You could either do this the night before or even right before you hop in the shower. Sometimes I do this just 5 minutes before I get in the shower, and I gradually work through the tangles. Now, actually using it to detangle is optional. You don't have to detangle with it, but it is a good idea to get rid of some of those tangles and remove those loose hairs. It's going to make shampooing so much easier, and you're going to see less breakage and hair fall in the shower when you're washing your hair. I won't get too much into the science of it, but basically oils help to fill in the gaps and holes in our hair's cuticle and help soften the hair strand. That way it's more flexible, and it's also protected during that shampoo process. So it reduces some of that cuticle swelling and wear and tear that can happen during the shampooing process. This is one of the steps that made the biggest difference for me when I was growing out my old highlight damage, because those highlighted areas were super tangly and they were also breaking off. Next thing is we're going to stop expecting instant results and instead use bond building treatments consistently. You cannot expect your curls to look amazing overnight. As I mentioned, damage takes time to grow out, but there is one way that you can actually strengthen damaged hair. Now, I still recommend getting it cut off over time, but you can strengthen the hair that you currently have. And the only way to truly do that is by using bond building treatments with patented technology that basically relink the broken bonds in our hair. I'm not going to dive too much into the science of it, but basically it repairs the damaged layers on the most inner part of our hair to strengthen it and to restore some of that damage. Now, there's only a couple that are actually proven to relink these broken bonds, one of them being Olaplex number 3. This is one of the bond building treatments that I shared in the recent video I did all about the best treatments for curly hair. So if you want to learn more about treatments and all the different options, you can watch that video as part of this series. But this is one of the classic bond building treatments that you apply to wet hair before you shampoo. So this is a pre-shampoo treatment. You would basically do this in place of the other pre-shampoo steps that I just mentioned. So the oil and the conditioner, you can skip those on these wash days. Wet your hair down, apply this, let it sit for about 10 minutes or so. Don't leave it on too long. Always read the label when it comes to bond building treatments. Then you proceed with your shampoo and your conditioner. The reason you can shampoo after using this is because it actually repairs those broken bonds, so that can't be shampooed out. It's one of the only ways to permanently fix some of your hair damage. Olaplex can be used no matter what your hair type is, but it's especially great for severely damaged hair because it will actually repair the hair. Now, if you're someone who maybe doesn't have a ton of damage in their hair, like from heat or bleach, but you haven't really worn your hair curly much, so it is lacking that curl memory, that's where I recommend something like Curlsmith Bond Curl Rehab Salve. This one is different in that it helps to strengthen the bonds in our hair, but it also has some proteins in it. Those ingredients really help improve the structure of our hair, so you'll notice your hair looks a lot curlier after you use it. Now, proteins are more of like a temporary fix, but this one definitely can still make a big difference in your hair, especially when you use it consistently. But with any of these treatments, you can't expect results after one wash day. You have to use them consistently. So think once a week or maybe once a month, just depending on how often that you wash your hair, but you'll need to be consistent with it. Bond building treatments are one of the first add-on products that I usually add to my clients' routines, especially if they're new to wearing their curls or they have damage. Unfortunately, there's not a ton of drugstore options that are proven to actually relink broken bonds in our hair, but these are definitely worth it. They're going to last you a while, and if it brings your curls back and helps to fix that damage, I personally think the price is totally worth it. In the last video that I did in this series, all about your wash day routine, I talked about the importance of maintaining a clean scalp and having a good strong shampoo and not fearing stripping your curls. That also applies when it comes to clarifying your hair. You don't want to fear having a clean scalp or drying out your curls because you're going to condition later, but you do need to incorporate a clarifying shampoo if you want to maintain healthy curls. You don't want to accumulate buildup on your hair because that's going to prevent your treatments from working. It's also going to weigh down your curls, and you can even get buildup from your water type. There's hard water minerals in a lot of our water that can really weigh down the hair and make it feel dry and brittle. So you want a clean slate for treatments and also for your conditioning. Plus, having a clean, healthy scalp will promote healthy hair growth when you're trying to grow out your damage. There's a couple options that I wanted to share with you, but if you want something that's fairly easy to get, the Malibu Hard Water Wellness Shampoo is a great option. This is going to really remove the hard water buildup in your hair. This is something you could do about once a month, or depending on how often you wash your hair, maybe every 3 to 4 washes. That's what I like to do. Even though I don't have extremely hard water, I still like to use this. I think anyone can benefit from this type of shampoo no matter what your water type. And this serves as a clarifying shampoo, so it's also going to remove that product buildup. Don't be afraid of stripping your hair because you're going to condition right after anyway. Another option is the Weedad Waterworks Clarifying Shampoo. This is going to work for both hard water minerals and regular product buildup. This is the one I probably use the most. It's a little bit more gentle, but still very effective. This one's almost empty because I use it all the time. These clarifying shampoos are used in replacement of your regular shampoo on those wash days, so you don't need to use both. You essentially rotate them in. If you're struggling with figuring out that wash day rotation, I have a free wash day calendar you can download. I'll put the link for that below. Next thing we're going to stop doing is assuming that using a deep conditioner is going to fix your curl problems or bring back your curls. And instead, you only need to deep condition if your hair is truly dry and brittle. This is a mistake that I see a lot of people often make when they're first getting started with their curls, is they want to load up on the moisture because they think their curls are dry and that's what's going to fix it or make their hair curly. But deep conditioners simply condition the hair, but on a deeper level. So they're going to be a little bit richer, a little bit thicker, and penetrate further than a regular conditioner. I personally love using deep conditioning masks because my hair does lean more dry. But if you're someone with waves and loose curls, or if you have fine textured hair, meaning your hair gets weighed down very easily because the individual strands are very narrow, then you probably don't need to deep condition very often at all. You can still do it every once in a while, maybe once a month or so, but you don't need a really heavy one, and you also don't need to leave it on too long. These are some options that are fairly lightweight that I think would work well for most hair types. One of them is the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk Bond Building Mask. Yes, this does say bond building. It has some bond strengthening ingredients, but it's not going to actually repair the broken bonds in your hair. You'll need a treatment like the Olaplex one that I mentioned, but this is essentially a deep conditioner with some amino acids in it to help strengthen your hair. So this is a great option to rotate in. It is fairly thick and conditioning, just not too heavy, but I still recommend thoroughly rinsing it out so that way it doesn't weigh down your hair. And if your hair is super fine, you could even try using this before you shampoo. That's a good option too, and just don't leave it on too long. Another good one is the Briogeo Lightweight Hydration Hair Mask. I wanted to feature this one because it's one of the few deep conditioners that is actually lightweight. It's really hard to find lightweight deep conditioners, but I think this would work for all hair types. In fact, I actually used it today. My hair is more of a medium to coarse texture and it still worked great. Today, what I actually did for my routine is I first used Olaplex on wet hair in the shower. I let it sit. Then I used a regular shampoo because it wasn't a clarifying day for me. And then I used this deep conditioner. Now, I know I mentioned that you want to stop using your heat tools and wearing blowouts, but we do still use a little bit of heat when we're diffusing our hair. And I'll talk about why diffusing is really important for curly hair in just a moment. But if you're going to incorporate a diffuser in your routine, which I think you should, you will need some sort of heat protection option, and I still recommend using a heat protectant, especially those that include UV protection, especially in the summer if you're going to be outside a lot, because that can be really damaging on the hair. One of my favorites is the Curlsmith Miracle Shield. This one has heat and UV protection and it's not too heavy. So you would spray this all over your ends before you apply your styling products. For a drugstore option, you can use something like the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk leave-in conditioner. This one is also a leave-in, so it has a nice slip to it. So does the Curlsmith one. So it's going to condition your hair lightly without weighing it down and protect from heat. The only difference with this one is I don't think it contains UV protection. But I recommend keeping things very simple on this prep step. You don't need a heat protectant and a leave-in and a curl cream. Keep it very simple with just a heat protectant that has some slip and conditioning to help you get through your tangles. But keep in mind, you should already have detangled your hair in the shower before you shampooed, and then also after with your conditioner in. Once your prep is done, styling for longevity is key. I break that down in the first wash day experiment video that we did previously in that series, so I won't reteach it here. But having strong hold in your hair from wash day makes next day hair easier and reduces the need to restyle. Once your style is set, sleep protection becomes non-negotiable. Sleeping with hair unprotected is guaranteed to ruin all of that work that you just did on wash day. So instead, you want to protect your curls overnight. First thing you want to incorporate is a silk or satin pillowcase. This is one of the easiest swaps that you can do, and I recommend anyone, no matter your hair type, to sleep with a silk or satin pillowcase because this soft, slippery fabric glides against your curls and doesn't create frizz and friction. Not to mention, it feels amazing on the skin. This is the one that I like a lot. It's from Curlsmith. It's actually a satin material, but anything will do. It doesn't have to be this one. I just personally like how thick and how well this one works and how slippery it is because it's satin, whereas silk tends to be a little bit softer, not quite as shiny, but that is that real natural silk material. So there's several different options. Just find one. You can order one on Amazon. I can link you to some options, but this one I really like. This is like bare minimum. If you don't do anything else from this video, please at least sleep on silk or satin. Now you can take it a step further by wearing some sort of protective covering on your hair, whether if that's a bonnet, which is my preferred method, or a scarf, or just something to keep your hair up off your neck and keep it protected. A bonnet is my favorite method because it keeps my curls up off my neck and it keeps them in that scrunch position, which helps them last so much longer. The only people that a bonnet might not be best for are those that have very short hair that can get misshaped easily, or if it falls off a lot, then it's not really helping you. But if you can keep it on and if you can find the right size bonnet, it can be really helpful. This one has an adjustable band. It's from Amazon. I'll link you to it, but it's pretty large. And if it's too big, it's not going to protect your curls right. So I typically will roll this to make it smaller this way. So I'll roll the rim of it so that way it's much smaller and keeps my curls squished on top of my head without them being misshaped. Once you've protected your curls overnight, you might wake up the next morning and be tempted to completely restyle your curls, but that's what you don't want to do. We're going to stop restyling and completely redoing our hair every day and start letting your style last with minimal refreshing. I have to show you all what my hair used to look like when I was over refreshing my hair every day. I used to do so much to my hair and completely restyle it every day, and this caused so much more damage. But the reason I was doing that is because my hair was damaged, so it wasn't lasting, and I was stuck in that cycle of wetting it down and restyling it every day. This was exhausting. It pretty much took me the same amount of time aside from I wasn't shampooing, and in fact it was harder to refresh because my hair was tangled and dirty and had product in it. It would have been easy to just rewash, but you don't have to do that. There is a better way. I have plenty of refreshing videos on my channel that you can watch, but essentially the less you can do, the better, and avoid adding a bunch of extra product. The reason that so much refreshing and restyling can really be damaging on the hair is because it's a lot of manipulation. It can cause breakage, especially when you're trying to get through tangles and your hair is not completely clean. And it's just a lot of stress on the hair for it to be completely wet and then re-dry again every day. Now you can still do an easy light refresh on some areas as needed, but again, avoid saturating and pulling through your hair or wetting it down and restyling. Instead, do minor touch-ups, but then you can also wear accessories and different hairstyles that are loose and gentle and not damaging to hide different areas of your hair. If you like wearing your hair up, you don't have to stop wearing it up by any means, but you do have to stop pulling it up super tight. So no slick back hairstyles. brushing your hair back into a tight ponytail really ruins some of that curl memory over time. There's definitely a thing there when people worn their hair up tightly every day. It takes a while for that curl memory to come back. So instead, just wear it up in a loose silk or satin scrunchie. So this is one of my favorites from Curlfriend Collective. This is their midi size. They have lots of different sizes. They have really large scrunchies that are really pretty. And then they also have skinny ones as well that even match your hair type. But this is the medium size. It's a silk material, but you can also use a satin one. Anything you can find is fine. Just make sure it's not a regular elastic that can cause so much breakage on the hair, and put it up loosely. So you'll want to wear like a loose bun in your hair. I do that style all the time when I want to put my hair up, especially when it's really hot out. And that's a great way to hide a bad wash day or maybe hide a bad refresh day. That will prevent you from wanting to completely restyle it. Another thing I love wearing is a headband. These are just some cheap headbands that I got from Amazon that have this wavy pattern to it. Now they do kind of stretch out over time, so I try and put a hair tie around them to hold it together. But they also prevent your hair from falling in your face. So that's why I wear them a lot. So I'll just place it gently in my hair like this to where it's not really stretching or leaving a dent, and it keeps my curls back. So this is what I do most days. In between wash days, it kind of tucks my hair back and hides some of the flatness on top. So maybe your curls fell really flat and you're not having as much volume on next day. Instead of trying to fix that, I can just pop in a headband to kind of hide it. They also have silk line headbands from Curlfriend Collective. I can link that for you below as well. I also love wearing these little mini clips. I do this all the time on my next day hair to hide flat roots and also to hide frizz. I still get really frizzy ends right here, and I especially got this when I had that highlight damage right here. But this area for me always frizzes up, and instead of wetting it and restyling it, I just kind of tuck it in. So I'll kind of tuck my hair back like this and then secure it in a clip just to keep it back out of my face. I'll kind of hook it around some other curls to tuck in that frizz, and now it's out of sight, out of mind. It might be visible in the back, but I don't care what's going on back there. So these clips have truly changed the game for me. I wear them all the time to keep my hair out of my face. Then I'm not tempted to touch it and mess with it and fix it. They're just little mini claw clips from Amazon. If you're feeling overwhelmed or really frustrated at this stage, just know it's completely normal. You just have to trust the process and stay consistent. There really is a mindset shift that happens when you start to wear your curls natural. Hopefully with some of these tips, you can get through that awkward phase and just know that better curls are around the corner for you. You just have to stick with it and stay consistent. I think it's been over 10 years now that I stopped straightening my hair, and I really started consistently wearing my curls maybe about 8 years ago or so, where I was really consistent with it, treating my curls well, doing all the treatments, and look at where I am now. And I want that for you as well. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by all this and you just want an easy checklist to follow, that's why I put together my damage recovery plan checklist for you. You can download that below. If you just want an easy list of what to stop and start doing, you can always reference that, print it out and keep it on hand. That way you can follow it day to day. And if you've been trying to do it yourself and you're not seeing that success yet, even with trying all of those things, it might be time to get help from someone with your curls. So that's why I have my group coaching program, because I help people with this. It takes a lot longer when you're doing it yourself and you don't really know what to change, what to adjust, and that's what I help my clients with. So you might need that outside opinion to really fast track things and get your curls back sooner to save you so much time and money and energy. So I will have a link below if you want to check out more about my program. I work with you over time, so this is not your typical one-off consult. This is an ongoing program because, as I've mentioned, true curl progress takes time and consistency, and I guide you through that step by step. So I'll put the link below for that. Let me know if you have any questions, and you can always reach out to me to see if it's a fit. If you haven't already seen the beginner curl series, as well as the last video we did on your first wash day experiment and how to build out that wash day routine, I will put that video and playlist linked for you right here on the screen. You can see how to wash and style your curls in a very simple way and just those essentials that you need. It's not a bunch of products. You only need a couple of things, including one styling product, to get good results. And if you stick with that, you'll definitely start getting a better hold. So I will talk to you over in that video. Bye, everyone.